you know, this is the third year for the Detroit Electronic Music Festival. I've been to all three of them, and I got to tell you, this one is real hot. There's a lot of different kind of people that are down here. I've met people from Germany, Greece, France, London, Senegal, and other places in Western Australia. So this is incredible. It's just a beautiful thing, and you know, this is the best gift that we can give to the rest of the world is music, baby. It brings people together.
Detroit, make some noise! We have Brother Suniago on the drums right now. Bring it to the stage. You seen this brother on deck? How do you all feel about working with the museum? About being here, about the history that, I mean, this is history right here. This is going to be seen 70 years from now in archives and things like that, you know. I think that's real powerful. So,
for sure.
I don't know if you all have everybody's time. Have you thought about it like that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I started off.
Okay.
I remember coming here when I was a kid and playing out in old Detroit area.
Just on Detroit,
there.
yeah.
And you know, I never thought that I would be here on an exhibit as a part of the museum. So I mean, that's kind of like I'm still kind of like, you know, my head is kind of spinning. You know.
Yeah, I remember coming, riding by and seeing the old cars in the windows,
Yeah.
and always thinking this would be a great place for a party. You know, so that it'll be, I think it's going to be quite interesting.
Okay.
And it's got to be like, have we actually thought about it? I mean, like you said, it's forever. You know, for 2 years, but then eventually it'll go around the world, but then it'll come back here, and it'll be a permanent exhibit forever. That's amazing. That's a nice honor, for sure.
And I was in Amsterdam about a couple months ago. I went to a museum. I don't go to a lot of museums, but I went with some friends, and it was Van Gogh.
Van Gogh?
Yeah, Van Gogh. And I was just thinking, man, wouldn't it be amazing if something like this happens, you know, around the music scene in Detroit? And little I know, it's being put together. So, you know, it might even be 4 or 5 months ago, but the fact that I had this vision and seeing something now is actually being put together. I think that's, you know, strong. It's very strong.
Yeah, I'm just happy that my kids can have a lineage to what we did. Hopefully that Derrick has some kids, can come on down and keep it alive. I mean, just some lineage to what we did at a young age.
I mean, just the fact that, you know, it's been 20 years, how all these things came about, and it's just, you know, it's amazing to me. It'd be hard for me to fathom something that has created such a global impact. You know, for something that just me, you know what I'm saying, because myself with me, with my pants on one leg at a time as well as you are. How does that feel when you're traveling around the world? And what kind of feeling, describe that feeling, because it's something I can't even fathom, you know. It seems like kind of a
feeling of
experience.
traveling?
The traveling, not so much the travel, the impact, you know,
You don't realize it. I don't think you really understand it yourself. I think we move too fast to realize exactly what we're doing. Only something like, for instance, the festival. That's when you get a chance to really understand exactly the impact you've had on people's lives. When people come to you. But when you're running around the world, man, it's kind of like it's a bit like a blur, because you're doing it so fast and you're meeting all these people and it's cool and you're making money and you know you're just moving and it's great. But you don't really realize what you're doing. But then there's the moment like when you come home or when you do something that's really like where people can approach you all at one time from all over the place. And that has an amazing feeling. And that's when you realize exactly the impact that you've had on people's lives. You know?
For me, back in 1988, maybe 89, when Inner City first came out with Big Fun and Good Life out, I realized that there was something special there when I'd seen one of the DJs play Big Fun, and the crowd had changed, the energy, the whole building became one. It was very uplifting. It almost brought a tear to my eye. It was very emotional, and I think that it gave me inspiration to keep going. And I still get inspiration from traveling, seeing people, hearing them talk about how we touched them and changed their lives in different ways, and that's very powerful. It's something that keeps me going all the time. I always like to stay working on music and traveling, stay involved with the whole scene.
Take your time.
Oh, okay. No, I think it's kind of on the same parallel speaking as Kevin, but it's just that the people know the music that you make over there, and you get to like, wow, what you did at home kind of like, you know, make their life change, and to really study what you've done and really try to recreate your music. And I think that was a kind of like a highlight for me to inspire to keep going, because everywhere you go, people are like, hey, I got your record from this day. You know, I can't get your first one on Metroplex, but you know, I heard about it, and kind of really kept the fire flaming as well as what Kevin just said. basically, it was just like, oh, okay, cool. So what I am doing back in Detroit, is changing people's lives in a sense, spiritually, and rhythm.
Well, like right now, I can kind of forget what the question was, but I'll just say my first overseas experience, I played a party, and I mean, I've been playing parties like ever since high school, while I was in high school. But this was the biggest party I ever played. It was like 5,000, 6,000 people, and I mean, it was like the power, the sound system was like big and loud and powerful. It was just power that you hit that needle on that groove, all of that power you had at the tip of your fingers. It was awesome, and it was like a very enlightening experience to be able to realize that. And, it was like I think it was like 89, 90, something like that. It was in London. It was amazing.
I wish I could remember all that. For me, I'm moving so fast, I don't remember nothing, not a thing. I mean, I try to remember, I just cannot remember anything, nothing. I mean, you asked me where I was last week. I can't even begin to tell you. But there's a time when I stop, and then I reflect, and all these things come back. And that's when I know all the little things that people have said to me. There'll be a time where I know I'll be an old man one day sitting in a wheelchair, and I'll be smiling. People say, "What's he smiling at?" And I'll just be remembering all this stuff,
That's good. The next question I asked is that we talked about how the music is going around the world and your experiences with that. But one thing that I think is going to be significant about this exhibit that I think a lot of us are going for is to inspire others, particularly the youth. And I know the two of you live on the West Coast, so you don't even live here, but being from this area, you see the condition of not just our community, but it's everywhere. I haven't been around the world, but I'm pretty sure, there's a big difference between the haves and the have-nots.
There's places that can easily reflect.
Yeah.
There's obvious paradoxes and comparisons.
Exactly. And one of the things, as this exhibit is here at the museum and it travels around the world, hopefully we'll be able to inspire people. Since we create living history, people will be able to meet you. You'll be able to go, whether it's in Japan or Germany, and make an appearance at that exhibit and interact with you there. But we're starting here in Detroit. How does that feel? Be able to, for a kid to be able to see, wow, I can do things. Here's someone who's standing here telling me about it. That's what I think one of the main goals of this exhibit is.
That's a phenomenal feeling. That's humbling, to be honest with you. When you know there's going to be maybe one of your school teachers in here with her kids, that who was teaching you when you were a kid, and she's going to bring her kids in here. That's just amazing. I don't know how many words there are for that, but that's just unbelievable.
We say whatever whatever you feel. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? No, I just nothing.
One of the best feelings, to be able to give back things that you've learned. I mean, I think it's a duty for people that have knowledge and have learned and experienced things to pass it along to the younger generation. It's a great feeling.
It's inspiring. Extremely.
I think, on my side of the family, the folks' family reunion, my uncles, my aunties, they really can't understand it because they old, but now they have something where it's like printed materials and footage. Come on, let's go see cousin. That's something where the reunions can see something to pass down to the family in a sense.
That's one of the things about Detroit. People tend to be a little bit old school when it comes to lunch pail mentality. In other words, they want to see it. They want to see it. It's the money. Bring the money. Let me see the money.
Right.
Bring me the bank account statement.
Right.
All that kind of stupid stuff. But that's pretty much the mentality of this of this place. This is an industrialized city where people have always had to put up or shut up. So right. So it'll
Detroit
be
is hardcore.
Right. Detroit is hardcore. I mean, so it'll be cool on that sense, but I don't think any of us are happy to prove to anybody that we made it. I think I don't think anybody here is thinking, yeah, okay, look now.
Right.
I think we really want this to be something that can really stand the test of time. And speak volumes loudly exactly where Berry Gordy left his legacy, and then this one took 25, 30 years, and now it's here, and where shall we go from here? You know, once we lay this down, we have to consider this to be just like the footpath to where we're gonna go.
Right.
And I think that's really inspiring too, because we know we have a lot more to live up to once this starts, because people are gonna be expecting to read about us at the same time, still know what we're up to.
Right.
You know, we just can't fade away after this.
Exactly.
You know, we're setting ourselves up for some major shit.
Let's go. Exactly. If you want to add, you good.
They covered everything. Nothing I can say.
Well, like I said, I'm gonna bounce around, and whenever this interview gets too long, y'all just tell me to cut it off. You know what I'm saying? No, whatever. Huh?
None, go ahead.
No, I'm just getting a little louder. Just a little. Okay, yeah, just a little. Okay.
I'll ask you.
Just listen. Yeah. My next question, like I said, I'm gonna bounce around as the questions come to me. Like I said, I do not have anything documented. It's been a long weekend. Like I gotta tell y'all. But being from Detroit, like I said, I'm just drawing personal. I'm just speaking honestly how I feel because I'm enjoying this right here. You know, this is what I like to do. The dialogue part, the entrepreneurial spirit that you guys exuded. I want you all to talk a little bit about that because when I go out and talk to youths and things like that, they probably don't even know what an entrepreneur is, and especially starting with you, Juan, to be able to step out there and create. You know what I'm saying? Not just tackle things just from an employee standpoint, the lunch and pail thing that you were speaking about earlier, but you know, be willing to take the steps, just step out there and empower and inspire people to start their own businesses and go for it. Sometimes it works, something, you know, you learn things along the way, but people can learn from your mistakes. How do you feel just from the entrepreneurial spirit, you know?
Before he answers that question, I gotta tell you a story about him.
Okay.
When we were young, really young, he had a dream from the very beginning that he was gonna do this thing called Metroplex. I mean, I remember him telling me at like 17 years old or 16 years old, I'm gonna do this Metroplex thing. I'm definitely, you know, this I'm gonna make a record label. I'm gonna call it Metroplex. I mean, and his whole reason was because he felt like black people just could not get a fair break when it came to any kind of music other than one kind of music. You know, so I just wanted to add that to whatever you're about to say.
Well, basically, I mean, whatever I did was from the heart. I mean, there was no blueprint, there was no plan, there was no manual to say, you know, this is the step you got to take to get here, and then you got to take this step to get here. It's a work in progress. None of us knew what the hell we were doing when we was starting out, you know, and it was all about just doing what you love. You know, and everybody out here at the table, I feel, has a certain love for music and got into it and just did it. And everything that had occurred behind that was just, we had no idea. We had no idea that we'd be traveling around the world based on what we were doing in the basement, you know, 2 or 3 years prior to that. You know, this man had no idea he'd have, you know, gold and platinum in Europe. You know, none of us did. You know, so it was just about having fun, and it was a method to the madness.
Right.
But you know, we would, you know, none of it was no idea, no concept of what we would be doing like 10 years after that.
Indirectly, you did have a concept.
Well, yeah, I mean there was a, how can I say, there was a formula, but there was no plan. If you can understand that, it was like you mix chemicals and you hope for a certain result, but when the result turns out 10 times better than what you thought of, you know.
Yeah, but you had always believed that you could do it. I mean, so that was already the plan. That was a hell of a plan. You knew you could do it. You told me 1,000 times you were going to do this.
Right.
You said you were going to do
But
this.
we never knew how it was going to actually pan out.
No, but he had a record label called Deep Space Records, okay? And that was already commerce, entrepreneurship. He had already started. He knew exactly what he was doing, believe me. He's being modest. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that he couldn't get a major record label deal. He knew he had to do it on his own. He knew he had to make some room, you know, in his own, in make his own closet, to store his own goods. Believe me, Juan's being very modest.
Well, I think it's all about control too. Like for me, for instance, I was doing something that I love doing. At the same time, I want to be able to control it and know, you know, every in and out about it. I remember I was working at Domino's Pizza. I would, I tell you, I would sleep on the phone. I'd be calling distributors. I'd be calling people, and I was running my record company and working a job. But I had this love for it. I would do whatever I had to do. I had to go to the phone, move my stuff off, and you know, see if I can get some orders, see how the records are doing. I mean, putting all the records out myself, promoting them. Just everything was a learning. You know, it was a learning curve to it, but everything was very inspirational. And just kept moving forward. And for me, my parents, they kind of were like that, and I think it rubbed off. You know, and that energy of just wanting to do yourself, wanting to build and keep pushing forward, not knowing what the end results be, but that's you know, it has to come from from inside. And, you know, for me, that's where it came from. And then of course the competitiveness of bouncing off these guys. You know, if Juan made a record, then Eddie made a record, and Derrick made a record. Hey, I'm making a record too. I can do it. You know, we were playing sports, and it makes you competitive in a nice way and push each other. So.
I mean, mine's like more or less economically. If I could have did it all over, I would have slowed down as a person to take a step back and really read more on the business aspect of it. But that didn't happen. But I want to have more artistic, spiritual vibe to keep me around because I love mixing, I love DJing, but at the same time, I love making music and I love playing the chords, the scales, the progressions. And I'm glad I put more emphasis on my music as in years before. But now as I got older, I'm more and more contractually woven to really maintain the business side of it to the full degree and to the full extent. But I mean, you know, you live and learn, and you know, you see, and as you grow up, you see the different angles. You get to learn different characters. So therefore, you know, I kind of transcend that over into the business relationship. And because our music is so big, and when we started, it's like everybody wanted a piece of the action. So, you know, the more and more, you know, that you take from the past, you know, it kind of helps you out on the economic side too, because you know exactly how you want to go as your career, as well as you want to take care of your family. So, you know, that kind of sell it up, you know, for me, and that to answer your question.
Well, I'm just going to throw out a general question. Anybody want some water or anything? Am I thirsty? You know, okay. Just a general question. Somebody should, you know. So we can edit this stuff out. You know? The reason I ask that is because now with all the politics and this, that, and the other, you know, I want to get down to the,
Go ahead.
you know, when when you hear about all the politics, you read this, that, and the other in the newspaper, you know, some positive, some negative, you know, and being in the media, you realize a lot of stuff they're printing is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Just flat out wrong. But the four of you guys, by the time we finish with this, will be immortalized together for forever. We'll all be gone before this leaves the building to be gone. So I just want to, you know, talk about the early days, how you all met, you know what I'm saying? I mean, things how people took different paths and different roles and things like that. But y'all stuck together. Y'all didn't know y'all was gonna be stuck together, you know what I'm saying? My marriage 20 years ago. You know
Ironically, everybody
but,
here,
you know, everything hits full circle. You know what I'm saying?
ironically, everybody here has met because of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't mean for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody in the whole techno scene in Detroit has met through me, and I didn't mean for that to happen. But I knew Eddie. I knew Juan first from Belleville. We went to school together. I knew Eddie because we were in a group called the Motown Varsity Squad here in Detroit.
Low on AD.
That's right. That was a long time ago. And that's how I knew Eddie. And I really got to be friends with Eddie later, but I knew him at that time because I actually I liked Eddie he was a nice guy, you know, but he was about to get into a fight one time. And I grabbed this stick from him that he was going to hit this guy with in the Masonic Temple. And the organizers of the company, Motown Varsity Squad, Low and AD, they saw me with the stick and they kicked me out. You know.
I remember that too.
And I tried to help him.
Right.
I tried to stop him from hurting somebody at the coat check. You know, and they kicked me out for helping him. So we got to be cool like that. But we weren't really tight.
Right.
But I knew him, and later on we would bump into Eddie, you know, here and there, and he
At
became
Roscoe, that's
right.
I went to
Right
school.
up here?
Yeah, he went to Wayne State.
Okay, Roscoe, right?
Yeah.
What's
And-
going
and-
on?
Me, Brian Bonds.
Kevin, I knew Juan first, then I knew Kevin. Kevin and I got to know each other through various reasons. I used to make fun of Kevin all the time. I used to tease him. And Kevin eventually punished me for teasing him. But we were teenagers, so, you know, we became good friends after that.
Yes.
And I introduced these two, and I introduced these two, you know, so that was 20 years ago almost. You know, that was a long time ago. So since then, everybody has really developed, I mean, there's differences every now and then, but I think overall we got a real history, and we really enjoy and have always enjoyed each other's company.
There's somebody we leaving on, my brother Aaron Atkins.
Oh yeah, for
Which-
sure.
which-
Which was the
In their class, see, they all were in the same class. I was like a year.
You said, like, what school?
Belleville High School.
Okay.
Well,
North
actually,
Junior High.
North Junior
yeah,
High.
Belleville, Michigan.
And my
that's where
brother's
we
like a
school.
year younger than me, and they are like a year younger than me. So my brother kind of like brung them around me,
Right.
Okay.
you know. And if it wasn't for him,
I would have never
I
met Juan.
probably wouldn't know these guys.
Because he was playing, he used to write his own music. When he was like 13, he was actually writing scales, you know, playing bass and stuff like that. And I used to look at him and say, "What are you doing?" And he thought I was a strange guy, you know. So you know, he didn't really talk to me too much. And we got to be friends through playing chess. That's how Juan and I got to know each other, through playing chess. Yeah, you know, just a little bit of history there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing here, gathering this stuff.
I used to beat him every time.
You wish.
Anytime y'all ready, I get
Oh,
on
you
y'all.
ready?
You know what I'm saying?
Alright.
But why? What made you, you know, like he said you're being modest, but what made you decide, you know, it's like from what he said, you've always had music.
Well, you know,
what
the
made
thing
you
is
decide
that
to put out a record?
I don't think
Just
about
wanna be
talking
the-
about this stuff because it's all like second nature to me. So it's like, to me, it goes without saying. I mean, it was natural for me to start my own label, to put out my own music, because I wasn't gonna wait for somebody to come along and say, well, you know, this deemed what I was doing as good. I deemed it myself to be good, so therefore I believed it enough to put it out myself. You know, but sometimes I might take for granted that people already understand that, you know, but I forget that people don't know what it takes to start a record label, or to become an independent producer, or to produce and create and release your own music, you know, and sometimes I forget that, you know, people don't know about this. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like when you talk to people, and it's like, you know, you've been around the substance of it, you know, through Juan, then, you know, then the Derrick label, the Kevin label, you know, it's like you said, it's like just sort of, you know, second nature. And then when you talk to people and like they want to make a record, you know, and put it out, it's like they don't have the you know, that energy behind it, you know. Because I remember we used to do deep space parties at
Everywhere.
no, I just wanted the downstairs pub that night, and I wasn't even thinking about making a record. No inkling. I just wanted to DJ, and it just hit me when I was dancing. This is what I want to do, and it's like I didn't see it. It was like fruition. It just hit me. And then when you talk to other people trying to make music, they don't have that natural, like Kevin said, the hustle tool, and you know, trying to get it. You know, it's that natural. This is a natural thing. That's why I think God put something in front of us to really keep a particular spirit alive. And that's how I'm going to involve it and capsulize it for myself, you know, because it's nothing, it was like he said, well, it's no blueprint. So that means the righteous spirit protect us. And like he said, Derrick said, it all kind of funneled through him. And it's, you know, he's right. And it's like, so somehow God wanted this to happen. And I'm going to take my blessings and, you know, pass along. But, you know, that's the aspect that I really want to relish with, you know, in this footage, is that God put us here for a reason, and I want to give thanks to God and you know, and make sure it just pass on down, because this music is a more spiritual thing. And like Derrick said, you move so fast, you don't feel the spirit until you have time to relax. You know, but God is really taking care of us, and I take my blessings, and pass it on down.
Amen.
All right, we out. All right, any last words from y'all two? Any last words, y'all want to say to Kevin?
Kevin?
Because I'll be bothering y'all closer to the exhibit and stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Before we go, but I know this will be the last time I got all 4 of y'all here.
I don't think so.
I'm talking about at one time before this exhibit opens. So.
But sometimes it's better to get individual.
I understand. Yes,
individual
I'll do that too.
We're going to
before
talk
we
about
go,
that.
Yeah. We definitely do the individual, but any last things anyone would like to say before us?
I'm done.
Kevin?
You're done.
Messages to you.
Anything. Message to you. Okay.
Well, I just know when there was a point where at this whole music, where I think it was 12th grade, Derrick and Juan, we did a deep space party at my house back in Belleville. It was like a
Graduation party.
It was amazing. I mean, especially for that time, doing something, and that was definitely a big inspiration for me in many ways. And I realized at that point that it was for me, even though I wasn't involved in it at that time. So I used to go back home to New York and go to hang out with my brothers to a club, Paradise Garage. That's when I really realized that I had a connection musically with these guys that, that we really had something in common musically, that mixing, the DJ. That's all it, at that point it was. And I really realized what they were doing, Went to school at Eastern, was playing football, wasn't really thinking about the music. Derrick moved to Chicago, Juan was doing his own thing. I think I met Eddie through Derrick. Yeah, I did Eddie through Derrick, but it's at Eastern now. I stopped my football career. I quit the team because I felt like this was the right thing to do. The music, it was something there, desire. Derrick had moved back, the energy that he brought, the people that I met, Art Payne, Keith Martin, all the people that I met, through Derrick, that were going at Eastern at the same time. And they was doing this music at the party. They were playing at these events, and I'm going to just amazed. I'm looking up like at Eddie saying, "Man, I'm
I remember that too.
I remember that day too.
I'm a wannabe at the time, but I look at the whole picture, and I want to do everything possible to break myself into the scene. So I seen something in the paper, learn how to mix, a seminar, right?
Oh yeah, he went to DJ school.
I took whatever little money I had, I drove to Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
It was really, I can't remember the name of the place.
I told him not to do it.
2 days.
I told him not to do it.
To this day, it helped me because what I couldn't learn from them. I learned from
the DJ school.
Because they broke down the BPMs on the record. They actually broke down how to categorize. So I had an easier time to learn how to mix. And once I did that, I just was around these guys, and
it all fell into
that was
place.
big. That was really big for me.
Plus, Kevin's mother was very rich. She bought us all the equipment, everything.
It's always
all
good
the
to
equipment. His
It's
Kevin's
always
mother
good to have one of those.
bought everything for us, didn't she?
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know how y'all feel. I knew this was beautiful, man. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it's
saying?
cool.
On the last time, and we done.
Thanks, man.
But it's I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But I think this was nice. Man. This is real nice. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate
We'll
it.
talk. Hey, listen, we're
I
happy
just
to
wanna
do it,
say
man.
thanks.
We're very
You know what
happy
I'm
to do
saying?
it.
I'm glad to get this. You know what I'm
problem.
saying?
What's you sitting there?